Okay, folks, it's your boy bankbank here. It's time for the big unboxing of two controllers. So first up, just came in this bubble wrap. It didn't come in its own box. This one was pretty low price. Whoa, this is a funky thing. Look at this. Oh no, clicky. So it's two buttons. It's rounded on the edges. That's what I was really hype about, because it's a Nest controller, but it looks to be a little bit more ergonomic. This D-pad is just funky and wild, though. I mean, it seems pretty cool. I'm not hating. Look at that, folks. Just look at that. Buttons are okay. It's got this turbo function. Nice long cord. Okay, let's move on to controller numero dos. Oh my god! This is generic USB classic controller. Heavy duty. It's heavy duty, folks. Let's see what we got here. Cable length 6 feet. 8 function buttons plus D-pad. Pretty hype. Okay, let's open this baby up. If I can. I'm not very strong and there's like tape on here. Oh, come on, please. All you have to do is just break the seal.
Yeah.
Okay. Holy moly. This is it, folks. It's open. Wow. Okay. First impressions. D-pad is a little bit tough. I like these finger grooves back here. XYAB feel good. These shoulder buttons are kind of hard to push, but I don't really need shoulder buttons, do I? And I could put a sticker right here. So maybe you can put in the comments down below what you folks think I should put there. So now maybe I'll give these controllers a try in the part 2 of this video. Okay, folks, we are now coming at you live with some gameplay footage testing of the new controller. This is Dr. Mario and Puzzle League for Game Boy Advance. Oh, I hate to say it, but this D-pad is a little bit stiff. It's not necessarily the dream D-pad that we all dream about when we go to sleep at night. No regrets. It was a low price controller. I mean, hey, maybe I'm jumping to conclusions. It's not horrible. Obviously, it's usable. But it's just a little bit, you know, D-pad is a little bit funky. And it's when I saw the listing online, I couldn't tell. I'm like hitting the wrong directions here. I couldn't tell that it had this crazy raised D-pad going. But you know what? This could potentially be my favorite D-pad. You never know. First impressions don't mean anything in the world of wacky controllers, and you can't trust your gut. God, I can't even press the right direction. You can't trust your gut. That's the motto of this video. So let's move on. Okay, and now we're doing the, God, what is this called? USB Classic Controller, unbranded. And I just noticed there's a lot of scratches here on the front for a brand new controller, but oh well. Also, couldn't get, this is a first ever, I couldn't get the controller to work in the Game Boy Advance emulator. So that's not really a good sign. It was like getting phantom button presses or something. But anyway, we're now in a different emulator. Everything is set up properly. So first impressions of the D-pad. It's not bad. It's probably it's more usable than the other one. I guess this game might not be the best for testing. That's why I really wanted to play Puzzle League. Tetris Attack Panel to Pawn, because it really puts the controller, tests it to its limits. this game is not really doing that. Let's switch games. Hold on. Okay, now we're playing Zoop. On low levels, it's going to take forever to get anywhere. But it's a better game for testing the D-pad. So, let's see. The buttons are fine. No complaints. The shoulder buttons... I don't know. I don't really use shoulder buttons. The D-pad's okay. I have to say, folks, my hype levels were off the charts for these two controllers. And I guess there's a reason. These are both rare controllers that I only found one instance of people selling, and they were inexpensive. God, I think I'm missing my down inputs. The Famicom, the NES crazy D-pad one was like $2. This one was $5. So no big regrets. But I don't know if these controllers are going into the Hall of Fame. That's all I'm gonna say. Alright folks, it's your boy bankbank here for the State of the Controller Collection, SOCC. First up, we've got the 8BitDo PC Engine 2.4 gigahertz wireless pad. I picked this up recently. It was about $15. Really nice controller. I bought it because, I'm obsessed with the 2-button controllers. Great D-pad. Wireless is wonderful. I wish I had picked up wireless before. I was afraid. I was a fool. I was ignorant. I was filled with fear. So the only negatives are it uses micro USB for charging, so you got to keep that charger around. And these buttons are turbos. They're not actual 2 more buttons. So for me, it's good that it only has the 2 main buttons, but I would greatly prefer if they just weren't there. Because I pretty much never use those, and they're kind of an eyesore. I prefer the simplicity of a 2-button controller, but c'est la vie. This is a great one. This is now my main controller these days if I don't need more than 2 buttons. Okay, up next we have the 8BitDo. I forget what this one's called, but it's like a Super Nintendo pad. Gotten a ton of use out of this one. This is my main controller. It's got the analogs for those modern games, and very comfy. It's wired. In retrospect, it probably would have been smart to buy wireless, because if you have the headphones on at the same time, it gets all tangled up. But this has been definitely the best controller that I've had, although I would probably prefer without the analogs. And up next is the Hori Ps4 Mini, and I have not really used this controller much at all. The analogs, I guess, feel a little flimsy. I don't know, maybe it's not ergonomic. It's not really my favorite controller. I didn't buy it for me. I bought it for someone who has small hands because that's how it was advertised. But for that person, it has too many buttons. It's confusing, and they press the wrong button all the time. So this is like a good backup, I guess. I don't hate it, but I just don't use it. Maybe the D-pad also wasn't super comfy. So it's okay. It's not the best, but it's okay. And here we have a knockoff USB Saturn Replica. It's decent. It was cheap. It was like $5 shipped. The D-pad sticks on the left direction, so that makes it a real bummer to use. I used to have one of these that was better manufactured before I moved, and that was really high quality and well worth using. This one doesn't really get any play because of the D-pad sticks. And up next is a USB Famicom Pad in black. Now these were like $2 shipped. I got 2 of them. They're okay. The D-pad is kind of creaky, makes like funny noises, and also I just find this controller to be not very comfortable to use for all that long because of the square edges, but that's not a flaw of this. It's just a flaw of the NES pads in general. But it's 2 buttons, that's hype. Definitely good value for $2 each. And this one doesn't get confusing for younger players because it's only got the 2 buttons. And now, disclaimer, we're getting into a couple pads that are not native USB. This is a PS1 Negicon, and it does twist. And I bought this because I saw there's a Japanese guy that did a video where he had a USB converter and got this to work on his computer with the converter. I bought one converter and it didn't work, and gave up. But this controller is pretty cool. I bought some PS1 game Wipeout for like $1, and it works properly. It's really neat. Just haven't devoted myself to finding a converter that works. I know they're out there. And another PS1 classic, original PS1 controller. This is by AC ASCII. Very comfortable controller, and the converter, the USB converter I bought for the Negicon does work for this. I've never actually tried it on my PC, but I'm sure it works. This is a nice controller. I don't know what to say. It's pretty good. It's got a lot of buttons on the top, but it's a good controller. All right, and last up, we've got a Mega Drive Famicom Pad with turbos on there. So I actually used this to play like Puyo Puyo on my Mega Drive. I don't have any converters for this. You can buy them. They're a little bit expensive, but I don't really need to play with this on my PC. And I think this exact controller is also available on USB. So I just threw this one in as kind of a novelty. And now to wrap things up, I'm going to be talking about a couple controllers that I'm interested in having, that I'm lusting after. So first up is the Genesis 3-button controller. I've used one way back in the day, but I've never owned one. And I'm extremely hype about this controller. I think it strikes a wonderful balance between too few buttons of 2 buttons for games like Star Sweep, and too many buttons like the 6-button controller, which I think is just too much. So one option would be to get the Mega Drive Mini, which comes with 2 USB 3-button controllers that I could just take and then use on my computer. So that's one option. I don't need the Mini, so it's kind of a waste. It's like $50 for 2 controllers. It's a little bit expensive. Then the other choice would be to buy a Sega Genesis 3-button controller and then get a USB converter. And again, we're talking like $30 to $40 for the package together for a decent one. And it's just like a little bit expensive for, playing around with a controller. But the other thing is, I would take the Dive, but there's a lot of variations of the original 3-button controller. Some were made in Japan, Taiwan, different countries. So they have like different D-pads, and I'm just scared I'm going to get one that I don't like. So anyway, next controller, and finally that I'm interested in getting, I actually just found this while I was doing this video. It's for the PC Engine Mini. It's by Hori. It's wired. It's only got 2 buttons, and it looks very comfy. So I think this looks pretty hot. Anyway, thank you for watching, folks.